Hello again, everyone. Quill here, and once again, we are continuing where we left off from our last playthrough of Vampire the Masquerade: Coteries of New York. Now, when we last saw Lamar, he had a rather startling revelation. Kadir, the sheriff that originally was told to execute him, came to his door telling him that he found someone that had been looking for him, someone who might be a potential loose end. He assumed initially that it was one of his coterie, but when he asked Kadir this, he told him that it wasn't. Turns out his sister Emma has been actively trying to find him. And unfortunately, this is causing some problems. Therefore, Kadir has arranged a meeting for the two of them on the next night so that they might be able to see each other one last time, so she will stop looking and he will have the chance to say goodbye. So on that note, that has just happened, and he is taking a rest. Knock, knock. You'd ask who's there, but you don't know if the sheriff of New York City would play along. When you open the door, you see him toying with the car keys he's holding in his hand. Ready to go, fledgling? You don't feel like it, but you give him a nod nevertheless. Excellent. Stay close. He leads you down to the vehicle he's parked nearby. Once again, he takes the wheel, literally and figuratively. Everything inside is just the way you remember it, down to the rearview mirror reflecting the intense stare of your guide. However, the trip itself feels notably different. The last time Kadir drove you around, he was forcibly dragging you away from your old life. This time, he's pulling you back into it. Let me tell you how it's going to go. As I said, I've arranged a meeting between you and your kin. It's going to take place somewhere you should know very well. I'll watch over you two from a safe distance to make sure you adhere to the rules. You should know those very well, but I'll reiterate just so you can't ever say I didn't warn you. Don't do anything that would violate the masquerade. Don't establish some secret routes of contact. I will know. Do treat it as the last time you two will meet. Take this chance to wrap everything up. Here's your story. You're fine. Found yourself at a crossroads. Decided to radically change your life and move out of the city. The subway is unbearable. The rent is too high. They've heard it all. However, you wouldn't leave for good without saying farewell to the only person who cared. He gives you a compassionate stare. It's gonna leave a scar, boy. But a true artist knows those are not something to hide, but to display with pride. You're a fresh corpse. People you meet can still leave a mark on you. One night, a long time from now, you'll realize you miss collecting new wounds. The car makes a sudden turn. I'll leave the finer details to you. Just be so kind and don't make me regret it. You can sense he's going out of his way for you, but doesn't try to force you into gratitude by stating it plainly. If you know, you know. He'll see if you are worthy of his aid. We're here. You take a look around and recognize your destination. He was right. It is a familiar place. It's right next to that exhibition space, the one where you met your future sire. This is where you saw Emma for the last time. This is where they last saw poor Lamar. Who knows whatever might have happened to him? That's what your sister is trying to find out. I took the liberty of messaging her in your stead. She's up there, waiting for you to come and explain yourself. He turns off the engine and relaxes comfortably in his seat. You silently leave the car and head straight for the exhibition space. The elevator ride up just doesn't seem to end. After what feels like 5 hours, but in reality is closer to 30 seconds, you You finally reach your floor. Em is standing there, looking at the paintings. She's trying to act carefree, but is holding onto her bag a little too tightly. When she hears your footsteps, she's startled. Then she sees you, and her eyes immediately fill with tears. She runs up to you and gives you a hearty hug. God damn it, Lamar, God damn it! You stay in her arms, silent for a little while. The bonds of blood run deep. This feels right. You're so cold. What happened to you? You look into her eyes and start searching her heart for a lie that would satisfy her, if only a little. Decided on a soul-searching trip. There was a sudden opportunity. Aww. Oh, there's so... I mean, a soul-searching trip sounds like something. Ah, hell. Let's see. Soul-searching trip sounds like something within Lamar's character. So, I suddenly decided to do a little traveling. You know, see the world, figure out all these things inside my head. You stop mid-sentence. It's perfectly obvious that you're not exactly telling the truth, and her expression makes it obvious that she knows. What happened? Lamar, talk to me. All the life-saving work she sent your way, from that concept artist job to this very exhibition. I've been losing my mind. Talked to literally everybody I know to ask when the last time they saw you was. All the time she's helped you get your shit together. I've always been honest with you. The least you can do is return the favor. She has, and she absolutely deserves to know. But she can't. Kadir is waiting downstairs. Lamar! Her voice startles you. Your first instinct is to run. And, like the beast you've become, you trust it. Lamar? You can't do this. Not now. Not like this. She watches as you, kindred and undying creature of the night, zoom away from her, run into the elevator, and press the ground floor button. This might be the last time you ever see each other. At least look her in the eye and force yourself to tell her one last thing. Don't search for me. For your and my own good. She's too stunned to react as the elevator doors close. You slide down the wall, hiding your face in your arms. You find your own priorities disgusting, but what gets you down the most is not the fact that you failed to give closure to the only person you cared about. It's more that you failed to make this farewell beautiful. It makes you feel like a failure of an artist. Even with all this newfound power, you still can't express yourself through the canvas of your life. You're still stuck in your old ways. But you know Em. She'll take the pain you've caused her and use it to make art that resonates, that sells. What if authentic trauma is the best gift you could find to repay all her generosity? Jesus Christ, you're disgusting. If you consider all of those emotions commodities, no wonder you're a failure as an artist. The elevator doors open. Better run while she's still up there. Back to Kadir's car. Once you close the door, he instantly puts his foot on the gas pedal. Walking off the pitch with no regrets? Said everything you had to say? Kadir sighs. Yeah, that's what I gathered from here. I'll keep an eye on the situation, placate her somehow if she won't stop looking. I've got some well-tested methods. Non-violent, of course. He gives you a good stare via the rearview mirror. You're an artist, aren't you? You nod half-heartedly. So you, of all people, should know that things never work out the way you plan. There could always be more time to plan, tools that could help you execute it better. Perfection is just an accident. The only thing you can do is give it your best shot given the circumstances, and immediately move on to the next thing. When all is said and done, regret is nothing but narcissism and a waste of time. Sophie, your coterie, those are the materials you've been given, and they're potent ones. Make the best use of them so that they might create something more beautiful than your artist tools ever did. And as a side note, I envy you. I wish I still had someone to make my knees feel like jelly, even when you can't see them anymore. Just knowing they're there keeps you in touch with what you once were. The car speeds up to cross an intersection before the light turns red. You give Katie a good, hard look. Why are you not mean to me? Thank you. Good job with setting it all up. I should probably thank him. Thanks. It doesn't feel like a, how do you call it, very vampire thing to say, but you say it nevertheless. He is visibly taken aback, and his usually furrowed brow smooths out for a moment. Then, he takes on a serious, slightly sorrowful expression. Don't suck it up to me, kid. Mr. Bad Guy is still here, and without a doubt he will go back to decapitating suckers like you any time now. The car starts slowing down. We're here. You look out the window and see your haven. Take care. I'll see you around. Just pray I don't have to see you too often. You leave the car and start walking to your haven, thinking about Kadir. Can't say you're fond of him, what with the welcome he gave you and all. But after tonight, you can't say you aren't either. You're gonna need some more time to understand him, that's for sure. Alright. So we've had the conversation with our sister. The only person that's shown here that I think we should probably avoid is actually Hope. Because I think the death that she wants us to commit is going to cause trouble. Something I don't think Lamar should be involved with. We could take care of this reporter for Sophie. Or we could go meet Agathon, or... we could drop in on Tamika. We've got half the night. And we've got this fellow again. Let's talk to Agathon. We haven't spoken to him yet. You arrive at the address given to you by Sophie, a small bookstore smack dab in the middle of Broadway, of all places. What really catches you off guard, though, is the store's display. From what you've heard about the Tremere, they are infamous for their ties to the occult and the mystical. And yet now, looking at the oddball collection of items in the display window, it all feels borderline satirical. The books here cover everything from Ayurvedic practices and homeopathy to wellness and self-motivation. The vaguely amusing juxtapositions don't end there either. You notice a copy of Anton LaVey's Satanic Bible tucked behind a cheap, smiling Buddha. A scientific journal on hematology sits next to a teen-oriented pamphlet on the blood-type personality theory. A number of religious and quasi-religious symbols, lockets, pins, and various emblazoned paraphernalia are haphazardly strewn across the display and between the tomes. Before you even open the door, you can smell the burning incense and hear the corny, Far East-tinged music seeping through the crackling speaker mounted above the entrance. It's much more quaint than what you expected from what Sophie told you about the so-called warlocks. It doesn't look like they have much interest in impressing outsiders. Then again, if there's anything you've learned if there's anything you've learned these past few nights, it's that appearances can be deceiving. At this time of night, the shop appears to be closed. Regardless, you ring the bell. You hear someone shuffling around inside. A brief moment later, the latch slides, and the door is pushed open just a few inches. A tired-looking blonde in loose clothes appears in the crack. She seems confused, like you just woke her up. She lets out a yawn, scratching at her tattooed neck. Finally, she squints in your general direction. Her pierced lip curves into an awkward smile. Should we be subtle? I mean, the other guy led us straight there. I'm looking for a guy named Agathon. Is he around? The girl gives you a suspicious look over, but opens the door. She takes a few steps back, and you hear footsteps coming from behind a floral curtain that covers the back door. A bespectacled, smart-looking woman emerges and looks straight at you. Come in and follow me. Just don't touch anything, please. You follow her through the store. Inside, as expected, the stuffy air smells of sandalwood, frankincense, and a dozen other aromas. The woman leads you behind the curtain and through the back door, onto a rickety staircase. A flight of steps takes you up to the second story. You instantly notice the change in decor, as the tacky New Age bookstore gives way to something resembling a cross between a library and a workshop. The smell here is strong, too, but much more layered. You're not sure what to make of it at first, but with each whiff, it becomes apparent. Blood. The aroma, though subtle at first, soon becomes overpowering. It takes you a moment to adapt and focus. I don't think you know who you're speaking with, so an introduction is in order. My name is Aisling how do I say her name? My name is Aisling Surbridge, and I am the High Regent of the Chantry of 5 Boroughs. You are Lamar, correct? I have to say, you're lucky the ward outside the building is only there for notifications tonight. Otherwise, it would have been quite unpleasant. To answer your question, Agathon is here, but he's hard at work, and I wouldn't want to disturb him. Am I to understand this is a social visit? You know who I am. High Regent sounds important. Hiding above an occult bookstore, really. Wait, how do you know who I am? Well, for one thing, knowing who's who in the city is one of my duties as High Regent. But more importantly, you've been on the mind of many a kindred since Langley took you in. It's quite a precedent, as I'm sure you know. A first under Prince Panhard, and for Sophie to be the one to do it. Curiouser and curiouser. Still, I'm sure you haven't come here to look for dirt on your sire. That would be unwise. I hear good things. Probably a compliment would be good. I heard some good things about Agathon. Thought I'd drop in and see how much of it was true. Appealing to our vanity. How very original. You better step up your game, fledgling, or New York will eat you right up. Suddenly a man enters from a side room. He doesn't even look at you, lost in his own thoughts. I have it, Aisling. I think I know how to find it. He catches himself as he notices you. His face turns sour. A visitor? Yes, we were just discussing you, in fact. Is that so? Something like me recommended you. I'm looking for allies. Introduce myself. Yes, Sophie Langley recommended that I contact you about teaming up. Teaming up? He seems very confused by the notion. What for? Company, what else? I could use your knowledge. Well, I could use your knowledge. I'm new here, and a scholar like yourself could teach me a lot, I imagine. You're not wrong. He turns to Aisling. High Regent, may I ask your advice on this? Aisling looks at you with nary a sign of emotion. I believe that you have far more pressing matters to attend to at the moment, my Tuesday. That is my intuition as well, High Regent. It's settled then. I would kindly ask that you leave, fledgling. We have many matters to discuss, matters not meant for undiscerning ears. Both of the warlocks look at you expectantly. please. I didn't mean any disrespect. I'm sorry if we started off on the wrong foot. You only get one shot at a first impression, and you've missed yours by a mile. If you can think of anything clever to say, now would be a good time. Otherwise, you know where the door is. I came here willing to offer help, should you need it. The offer still stands. Your thoughts, Agathon? I believe I can handle the task alone, High Regent. I have full confidence in you, my Tilde, as always. However, I know this fledgling is utterly hopeless at making good first impression, but I think you should give them a chance to prove their worth. Just one chance. Tonight. Why don't you start by giving our intern here a brief explanation of what it is you're after? Agathon gives Aisling a hesitant look, but the woman nods approvingly. Encouraged, he turns towards you. A member of our clan disappeared without a trace a handful of nights ago. While the High Regent investigates if any foul play was involved, I have been tasked with recovering her research notes. If there is anything left to recover, that is. I may have an idea where to start looking, and I suppose this is where you come in. If you truly wish to help, I could use your assistance tonight. Right now, in fact. Given the time we've just wasted on idle chatter, I should leave immediately. Research is this about? Who's the missing person? What's the rush? And the missing kindred. Who is she? A single glance at Aisling is enough. You can tell you're not getting an answer, at least for now. We're after her research. That's what you should focus on. These people aren't in the habit of making things simple. Facing layers upon layers of secrecy, you can only hope that what lies beneath is the real deal. I'm heading out. Are you coming? Not. Sure, I'll join you. Very well. He gives Aisling a slight bow. High Regent, with your permission. She nods. Before you go, however, Lamar, defer to Agathon in all things. Our clan values obedience above everything else. Prove you can follow, and this might turn into a mutually beneficial relationship. I will await his return, and his report. Good luck, my Tilde. Agathon bows again and heads out, urging you to follow. The High Regent watches you leave. Outside, Agathon leads you to his car. It's almost funny seeing him get behind a wheel. Somehow, you'd expect a more mystical means of transportation. You drive south, heading to the Lower East Side. Agathon seems lost in thought. Either that, or he's a very careful driver. Either way, several minutes pass in silence. So where are we going? Probably shouldn't be nosy, but I am curious. So, the High Regent is your sire? Did I get that right? Yes. He seems to be thinking of the right words before he decides to address you again. Let me ask you something. Why me? There's likely a couple hundred of us kindred in New York, yet you seek me out specifically. Why? For one, Sophie spoke highly of you. She gave me a short list of people to meet. You were on it. I see. Once more, he grows silent. You are unsure whether to continue prying as your driver seems to disappear into his thoughts. You drive into Williamsburg and stop by a fancy-looking building. We're here. There's a restaurant on the top floor. You wanted to help, so here's your chance. I need you to get us inside the VIP lobby. Once we're in, I need about half an hour of focus and some space. It'll be up to you to keep attention away from the room. Can you do it? He doesn't wait for an answer and points to the front door. Go ahead. I'm right behind you. The two of you take the elevator up to the restaurant. The door opens and you see that there are only a few guests left, sitting at their tables. An important-looking staff member approaches you. Good evening. I'm very sorry, but the restaurant is closing for the night. I can make a reservation for next week if you wish. No, I think we can get in now. We're special clients, if you know what I mean. I don't think I do. Apologies, but it's company policy. No exceptions. Would you like to make a reservation? Probably presents. Hey, it's all good. We can come in. We'll be in the VIP lobby. It won't take long. The man blinks. A confused smile appears on his face. Yes, of course. Not a problem. Please, come right in. You walk in, trying to look casual and make your way to the VIP lobby. You step inside and close the door behind you. It's a nice place, very highbrow. Lots of old, expensive-looking furniture and private rooms to discuss any sordid business one discusses when you're that rich. Your companion looks at you with something akin to admiration, or at least that's how you choose to interpret the slight change in his usual somber facade. Not bad at all. He inspects the room. It's unusually cold, and Agathon soon discovers why. Looking behind the curtain, a window hangs open. The handle and lock look like they've been dissolved, as if with acid. God damn it, Juno. So the window, who's Juno? Looks like she's not. Who's Juno? How about I tell you some other time? He takes a frantic look around the room. This changes things. Keep an eye on the door. I'll need some time. Half an hour at the very least. Nobody disturbs me, understand? He hastily pushes a couch and some potted plants out of the way, moves a bar stool, and takes out a curved knife. Cutting into his own arm, he lets some of his blood drip onto the wooden floor. It's pretty fucked up, the way his flesh oozes the deep, red, thick vitae. In life, you'd have found it stomach churning, but right now you feel weirdly turned on by the sight. What follows is more disturbing yet. With one hand, he sheathes the knife and seals the wound. With the other, he smears the blood around him while muttering some weird chant. It sounds vaguely Latin, but you're pretty sure it isn't. It's all more than a little disconcerting, but he seems to know what he's doing. A few moments later, the circle starts glowing faintly as thin wisps of smoke surround Agathon. He sits down in the middle, legs crossed, eyes closed. Minutes pass. Agathon's face twitches from time to time, and his head turns every now and then, as if he was looking around or listening in on a conversation. The smoke grows thicker, forming a veil around the mage. You expected something more flashy, but it's still a sight to behold. You wonder what the point of it is, but refrain from asking. It's probably best to let Agathon do his thing. For close to 30 minutes, you're left to your own devices. Then, suddenly, the door opens slightly, and the manager leans into the room. You tense up for a second, but he just gives you an awkward smile. Anything you need? You shoo him away before he can take a closer look at your companion, and he retreats obediently. 2 minutes later, Agathon casually gets up off the floor and walks over to the sofa. He pushes his hand in between the cracks in the upholstery and fishes something out. He then turns to you and nods. We're done here. Let's go. You make your way back to the elevator, passing the manager on your way. He gives you a slight, somewhat confused smile, but neither him nor any of his staff get in your way. Despite that, the elevator ride down feels tense, and the two of you only relax once inside Agathon's car. He starts the engine and takes a right at the Continental Army Plaza, back onto the bridge. You're just about to say something, but he beats you to it. That went better than I expected, all things considered. It might have been a trick of the light, but you're pretty sure you just saw a smile. I'm used to working alone, but what I'm dealing with right now, it might require some more assistance, and you seem capable enough. So thanks, I guess. Found what you came for. I can do more, you know. So I'm guessing you found what you came for? Sort of. Enough to continue the search, at any rate. That seems to deplete his social battery for the night. You drive the rest of the way in silence. It doesn't take you long to reach the Warlock's hideout. Agathon waves at you absent-mindedly, once again lost in his thoughts, hopelessly so. One of these nights, you should probably take him up on his offer. Who knows, if you gain his trust, maybe you can actually break through his stoic facade and meet the man underneath. Alright, end of the evening. We have to rest now. Resting, resting, resting. Alright. Alright, let's see now. I still want to avoid Hope. We could talk to Tamika just because we haven't seen her in a minute. We could go see this fellow again. Or we could deal with this reporter for Sophie. We could just eat him. Might be a feeding opportunity. Streetlights filter into the apartment in a stark white glow, as if someone were shooting a movie outside. The art pieces display a tasteful expense, entirely fitting the image you have of Sophie. It feels as if 1,000 sins have been committed on these premises, most of them under her benevolent hospitality. Sophie comes to greet you as you enter the living room, shaking her head. You understand that people judge me based on how you dress, don't you? Sophie looks at your clothes as if resigned to your sartorial limitations. Tried to dress inconspicuously, I can take care of myself. I've tried to dress inconspicuously because of the masquerade. It's very sensible of you. I suppose I should commend you for that. Sophie walks to the window and looks out. The streetlights playing on her features. She reminds you of a queen contemplating the unfortunate limitations of her subjects. You'd think that as a vampire, at least we wouldn't have to worry about the vultures of the press. Unfortunately, when you have power and ability, there are always parasites trying to feed on you. Is there a reporter after you? You should have a journalist friend. I'll go be the master now. Is there a reporter after you? Yes, a terribly persistent creature. Sophie steps away from the window and settles down on a sofa, a wine glass with red liquid in it. Blood, treated as not to spoil. You've become good at noticing the scent, even from a distance. She doesn't offer you any as you cautiously sit down across from her. This awful man has been stalking my apartment with a camera. He's gone through my trash. Talk to the neighbors. Please be a dear and explain to him that there's nothing for him here. Is this about the masquerade? That's a big deal for us, right? Indeed. You're learning. Isn't that dangerous? Isn't this unavoidable? This must happen often. This must happen often. How do you usually deal with it? Everyone has their own way. Sometimes the problem goes away with a bit of money or sharp words. Other times you need something more. Do you know anything about this reporter? Man, woman, young, old, anything like that? All gossip reporters look the same to me. Time for you to go. I have business to attend to. You leave the apartment as Sophie disappears into another room. You don't have a clear idea of the game she plays with the city's mortal and immortal power structures, but she always seems to be making a move. Outside on the street, there's a slight warm drizzle, the kind that gets under your clothes and makes you want to take a shower when you get back to your own haven. No reporters immediately jump out to you. Auspex will help us sense anything nearby. So let's try that. New York smells of people. Thousands and thousands of them packed together. It takes a moment for you to get to grips with the full panoply of sensation. But once you do, there's one that sticks out. Cheap aftershave. The strong imprint of someone who has hung around the building a lot. Strong enough to persist despite the light rails. Stale cigarette smoke. Sweat. You follow your hunch as you walk closer. You reflect on how sometimes being kindred make things so easy. You enter an alley, a dark, dingy space between two tall buildings. Once upon a time, a place like this might have worried you, made you think of muggings and violence. Now it's clear that the most dangerous thing here is you. The man you are following seems to realize this too. He holds his camera in front of him like a shield, its heavy objective resting on his paunch. With a start, you recognize him. You remember the face, the shaded sunglasses from a picture next to a byline and some trashy paper. The article was about a friend of yours, an artist who was reported to be dating a celebrity. It was true, but the celebrity didn't want to be associated with your friend and broke it off afterwards. For months, your friend cursed Doherty's name. Hey, don't go around scaring people like that. Welcome to Knuckletown, fat man. Let's make this fun for at least one of us. Whoa, I'm a reporter. A lot of scoops here in this dirty alley. You can't be a journalist if you're not willing to get your hands dirty. Do you live here? I'm working on a story about a local resident. Her name is Sophie Langley. Everyone knows her in high society circles. From the way you look, I'm guessing you might know her too. She's a redhead, pretty as a picture. And there were lots of pictures of her through the years. That's the thing, in fact. Look at this. Frank pulls out his phone and starts showing you pictures. Some have been downloaded from news sites, while others are photos from the society pages of newspapers from past decades. All show Sophie. She has different clothes, hairstyles, makeup, names, but the face remains the same. That's strange. What do you think is going on? They're all hot. So you're a stalker of some sort. Come on, I'm just doing my job. So why does this matter? This must be important. Come on, let me kill him. Or drink from him. This guy's obviously going to be a liability for the Masquerade. He knows that Sophie doesn't age. Let's see, what can we choose here? So why does this matter? This must be important. So why does this matter? Maybe it doesn't. But people are always interested in staying young. 3 words. Extreme plastic surgery. All the celebrities do it. Only your doctor is better than the rest. You look critically at the photos on Frank's phone. No doctor is that good. Hook me up with this marathon. You're thinking of the world's best you're thinking the world's best plastic surgeon is working out of this alley? Okay, fine. I don't know what this is about. So how would you explain it? Have you considered the possibility that those pictures are a hoax? Sure, anything could be a hoax. But I dug up those old papers from the archives myself. I got to have something usable. Threatened Frank with the line. Yeah, let's violence this guy. The power of the blood makes kindred fearsome killers. Looking at Frank, you decide that you can administer this beatdown without any help from your undead nature. This was the wrong moment to develop professional pride. I wanted to punch you from the moment I saw you. I wanted to punch you from the moment I saw you. You punch Frank in the mouth. Perhaps the most important thing about your new vampiric existence is getting used to violence. You have to hunt, defend yourself. Frank falls down on one knee. This is not defending yourself. Please don't! You smack Frank across the face. You feel his perspiration sticking to your skin. Blood wells from his mouth, and you have a sudden urge to bite down and drink. Sophie probably wouldn't appreciate a corpse in an alley next to her home, so you restrain yourself. That's fair. Frank is on all fours on the wet ground. You pick up his camera and casually fling it into a wall. The telephoto lens breaks off. Oh my god, please don't! Stay away and this won't happen again. Run. Run your mouth and I'll break the rest of your teeth. Run your mouth and I'll break the rest of your teeth. Frank staggers upright and runs out of the alley as best as he's able, leaving his ruined camera behind. You look after his receding figure, wondering if he'll have the courage to return. Oh well, we still have half the night, even though we took care of that for her. Alright, we can help Agathon again. We can talk to him. We still haven't talked to him. Or we could go check on Tamika. Let's check on Tamika. She might need us. Immediately after you enter the park, you can tell that something is wrong. An odd silence hangs in the air, like the silence from a choking victim after the fight leaves them. It doesn't take you long to find Tamika. You see her in the distance, leaning against a tree. As you make your way toward her, she puts her finger to her lips. Only then do you notice the blood dripping from her side. You pick her up, letting her lean on you. She looks at you, her eyes wild with fear and rage. They're here. The Inquisition, they found us. Raoul, he drew them away, saved my ass. He's still out there. We need to go. We need to help him. You're bleeding out. You're in no shape to mount a rescue. Screw you. A jolt of pain makes her almost bend in half. I'm going. You're barely standing. I won't let you get yourself killed. I'm going. You want to stop me? Might as well kill me now. Through sheer force of will, she manages to straighten herself up. Let's fucking do this. You head deeper into the park. Soon you stumble upon a set of Soon you stumble upon a set of innocuous barriers, service vehicles, black and yellow caution tape, men in work suits that keep the civilians out of a certain area. It's not at all difficult for a creature of the night to avoid these. You'd almost think that their presence here is accidental, but once you spot black vans deeper in, you get a foreboding feeling. Tamika grabs your shoulder and squeezes hard. Hold up there. Hold up there. You have to squint to see it. 2 SI scouts have taken tactical positions between the trees. There's no way in hell you'd have noticed them or hidden time if Tamika hadn't alerted you. Body armor, camo, night vision goggles, rifles, and semi-auto shotguns. Some equipment you can't even name. These guys mean business. There's no time. She's getting ready to just pounce on them. Consequences be damned. You need to think, and fast. Take one out. Boy, this could end either really good or really badly. Take one out, leave the other to her. The other one might kill her. Draw their attention away. Yelling at the top of your lungs, you rush at the men, forcing both of them to focus their fire on you. The first one falls before he's able to pull the trigger. The second one takes aim. Suddenly, you realize you might have bitten off more than you could chew. Reflexively, you squint, waiting for the bullets to tear through your flesh. To your surprise, no shots are fired. You open your eyes and see Tamika standing over your would-be assailant. She flicks her wrist, sprinkling the grass under her feet with the man's blood. Don't steal my kills. All things considered, she seems to be doing all right. You keep on moving. Tamika gestures at the nearest patch of trees. Stick to the shadows. Take them one at a time. Sound advice. You take it to heart as you move on towards Tamika's haven. It doesn't take long for you to run across more of them. 3 operatives in full riot gear are running down the park alley, sweeping the area with barrel-mounted flashlights. Keeping very still and very quiet, you wait for them to approach. Tamika watches you from the bushes nearby, clearly waiting to follow your lead. As the first victim marches past, you lunge at him, sinking your teeth in his neck. In one sudden motion, you rip a chunk of flesh from his throat. Quickly, before the other 2 can react, you run at them, full speed. Just as you're about to take the first one out, Tamika pounces from the side, taking him out in an instant. As soon as she lands, she springs back toward the other one. A single slash of her claws is all it takes. The man's body falls to the ground. After a second or 2, his head follows. You raise an eyebrow at Tamika. She hits back with a roguish grin. 2 to 1. No time to savor your victory. A savage yell rings out from across the tree line. You know that voice. Raoul! Tamika throws herself toward where it came from. It's almost unbelievable how fast she moves, considering the state she's in. You're barely able to keep up. Mere seconds later, you find yourselves under the cover of a rose bush, giving you a clear view of a nearby clearing. Off in the distance, you spot a group of gunmen converging. Slowly but surely, the circle of hunters closes in on a lone figure struggling on the ground. The figure lets out a pained roar. Looking closely, you realize it's Raoul. Caught in the same steel net you saw used against the scarred one, he struggles frantically, trying to break free. With each passing seconds, step by step, the operatives close in around him. Driven by instinct, Tamika jerks forward to save her brother. She stops herself at the last moment, as if reminded of your presence. Okay, how do we do this? Fast and fierce, we don't suicide. We go in fast and fierce, no messing around. Take him out as quickly as you can. She nods in approval. Sounds good. You move in like a 2-person SWAT team, staying low to the ground before you finally make your first move. The first 2 hunters meet their death. Unfortunately, it's enough for the others to notice your presence. So much for the element of surprise. As 2 men turn towards you with their fingers already on the trigger, another 2 approach you, stabbing at the air with their cattle prods. Uh-oh. Oh gosh. Shit. I guess I'll attack the gunmen. Prioritizing long-range attackers, you make quick work of them, slashing both of their throats before they can fire. Meanwhile, Tamika does her share, as she swiftly avoids the cattle prods and moves in for the kill. 4 bodies hit the ground. 2 vampires are still standing. You both turn towards the last remaining foe, driven by sheer desperation. The sole surviving soldier stands over Raoul and aims his semi-automatic shotgun at his head. Tamika growls. You gesture at her to stand down. There's no room for mistakes here. Looks like your number's up. Might as well give up. Don't make it worse for yourself. Shaking hands, the gunman looks to you, then Tamika, as if warning you to not come any closer. It's mostly for show. He's fucked, and he knows it. Suddenly, you notice his muscles relax, as if he's made peace with the inevitable. You hear Tamika's scream. She notices it as well. Struggling to lift his head, Raoul looks into Tamika's eyes. Take care, sis. Oh no! A shot rings out. Raoul's body collapses under the weight of the steel net. His head, a gaping hole. Oh no. He shot him. Fuck. Before either of you can react, the operative puts the barrel under his chin and pulls the trigger. Another shot. Another body hits the ground. You turn to your companion. She seems utterly lost, like a child, failing to comprehend what has just happened. Falling to her knees, Tamika lets out a yell unlike any you've ever heard. It's as if she's been possessed by some wailing spirit, a banshee screaming out into the sky. Her scream echoes across the clearing until, finally, it all goes quiet. With tears streaming down her face, she looks up at you. It's my fault. I put us in their sights. If it wasn't for me, he'd still... Clenching her fists, she pounds the ground in frustration. Fuck! It was his choice as well. He wasn't a child. He knew what could happen. She bows her head, pressing her chin into her chest. It's like she's processing what you just said, coming to terms with it. Finally, she looks up and gets back on her feet. She seems to have shed her despair, at least for the time being. Let's get out of here. Hastily, yet carefully, you make your way out of the park. You don't stop until you reach a nearby alleyway. There, in the relative safety of the surrounding darkness, you take a moment to rest. Leaning against the wall, Tamika presses her hand onto her wound. Fighting off the pain, she looks up at you. Let's split up. Less attention. Hunters, spotters on the rooftops. You need help. I want to hear from you. What if they catch you? Bad idea. What if you run into an SI patrol? She smiles through bloodied teeth. Too bad for them. Knowing when it's time to fold, you nod and head towards the far end of the alley. After several steps, you look back to see how Tamika's doing. You smile, noting her absence. Having managed past a couple blocks... Having managed past a couple blocks without incident, you thank your lucky stars and blend into the nightly New York crowd. Hopefully, Tamika's made it as well. Well, fuck. I guess we got Raoul killed. That's disappointing. And kind of sad. I actually kind of liked Raoul. He was cool. I'm just curious. It doesn't give you any option except to rest because it's sunup. You come back to your haven after a long night out. Right before you open the door, you notice something strange. The sounds of television are coming from your apartment. Madmen, if you're not mistaken. You open the door and carefully peek in. A young disheveled woman is curled up on your sofa. She has a blanket pulled on top of her and seems very comfortable. Next to her lies an obviously unconscious, preppy woman. Oh, you're home. The woman reaches for the remote and puts Madman on pause. You weren't home, so I started without you. You know, Netflix and chill. Join me. There's space on the sofa. I brought us a snack. You didn't enjoy the last one I gave you before, but this is a different type. The woman points lazily to the unconscious girl. Oh, I forgot. My name is Adelaide. Adelaide Davis. I like you a lot. Help yourself and settle in. Wow. Well, this is the first feeding opportunity that we've ever had, but she did send us something before. I don't trust her. Fuck. We should ask her to leave. Please go. I don't want you to be here. Adelaide bounced up from the sofa with surprising energy. I go to all this trouble and this is the thanks I get? I could get angry from being treated like this. For a second, Adelaide's words worry you, but then you notice the playful glint in her eye. You're playing hard to get. It's adorable. I'm not playing hard to get. Oh, I think you are, you sweet little thing. This is fun. You should really get mad at me. The door to your apartment opens. Someone with a key. Sophie. Adelaide Davis, the scourge of Snug Harbor in the flesh. This is a new low for you, fledgling. Adelaide looks at Sophie murderously before fading from view. I hate it when they disappear. They should have enough manners to slink away in embarrassment so we can all enjoy it. Sophie waits for the door of the apartment to close before she speaks. The clan of the moon. Did I not advise caution when dealing with them? As you watch, Sophie makes a phone call. 10 minutes later, 2 of her servants arrive to remove the unconscious girl sprawled on your sofa. You clearly need my help. It won't happen tonight, but let me see if I can resolve your stalker problem for real. You're left to wonder what Sophie meant by that as she leaves her haven. Oh, wow, look. She's an option now. Oh, okay, I get it. She was the one that was stalking us, apparently. Alright. Alright, there's nothing new from Tamika. Oh, fuck, is this guy back? Ah, fuck, we might have to actually kill this guy. The weather is cold and windy as you walk to Sophie's apartment. As a vampire, that doesn't matter anymore. You may have been saddled with eternal hunger, but at least you can ignore the wind chill. Just as you come to the door of Sophie's building, she storms out, murmuring into her phone. Yes, I know, don't worry, I trust you to handle it. You've heard Sophie talk to her associates before. It's always the same. Generalities and vague suggestions. It makes you think she's involved in mysterious machinations, yet doesn't tell you anything. Sophie is dressed to kill, but there's nothing unusual in that. She likes to make an impression. A black car with tinted windows is waiting for her in front of the door. A chauffeur steps out to open the car door for her. Sophie notices you. I'm glad you're in the neighborhood. If you could look around for me one more time, that would be wonderful. You told me you'd gotten rid of that reporter. Turns out he's still here, snooping around. Sophie is very good at communicating disappointment. She doesn't have to do much to make it clear that she's unhappy to have to return to this issue. I'll take care of it. After tonight, he won't trouble you anymore. Good. Don't disappoint me. The reporter talked his way into the building during the day. Once the doorman understood what was happening, he threw it out. He showed old pictures of me to my neighbors. It's very awkward, you understand. Sophie disappears into the car, and the chauffeur closes the door behind her. You watch as the sleek vehicle disappears into the Manhattan traffic, just one anonymous car among many. Best sit down somewhere and devise a plan of action. You go to a nearby diner, settle into a booth, and order a coffee from the steely-eyed Latino waitress. As she brings you your cup, you describe Frank Doherty to her on the off chance she's seen something. Just as she's about to answer, you happen to look outside. Something catches your eye. The diner is brightly lit, so you move closer to the window to see the street through it. You got lucky. Frank is standing on the sidewalk on the other side of the street, looking at something on his phone. You slide out of the booth, throwing a few small bills on the table. Mumbling something to the waitress, you step outside. You keep out of sight and follow Frank patiently. His scent is so strong that you don't have to see him to stay on his tail. He disappears into an alley. It's different from the last encounter, but could as well be the same for all the protection it'll afford him. Oh my God, it's you! Please don't hurt me! Frank cradles his new camera in his arms, terrified of what you will do to him. You came back. That was a mistake. Let's talk a little so we can figure out what kind of a mistake it was. Please, I'll talk. Just tell me what you want. How come you're here? I thought we agreed there's no story. Usually when someone says there's no story, it means there is a story. I just couldn't let it go. Look, I don't want any trouble. I can see that you're serious. There is something to Sophie Langley. I think you know what it is. You take a long, hard look at Frank Doherty. He's a tenacious man, but not brave. After the last time you met, you were sure he had been dealt with. Where did he find the courage to come back here again? Is it worth the pain? What's your real angle? A woman like Sophie, there's always something, but is it worth the pain? Look, I need a scoop. I need a story. I need something that says Frank Doherty is on top of things again. Nobody respects me. Do you know how that feels? I used to be someone, a promising young journalist. When you fuck up, there's no sympathy. People enjoy seeing you fall. I don't care about Sophie Langley. I care about Frank Doherty. I'm not asking for much. Just one story that isn't about trying to get a shot off a celebrity's underwear. You almost believe it, but something about Frank feels off. You don't say anything at first. It's easy to dismiss Frank as a joke, a has-been. And there's something beneath his talk. Another story. A moment of silence is all you need for your presence to properly register in Frank's mind. He's too weak-willed to resist. Someone's leaning on you, Frank. Come clean. What? No, absolutely not. Frank's voice sounds shrill. You know you got it right in one guess. Sometimes I just need some extra money, that's all. There's a guy. He's paying me, that's all. But I can't talk about that. Let's eat him. Doesn't feel like you can get anything more out of him. Or perhaps it's just something you tell yourself because you see the sweet, sweet blood moving under his skin. It's hard not to stare. Frank is not a beautiful man, but you've learned that any mortal's veins can be appreciated if you look at them long enough. Blood is the great equalizer. Young or old, rich or poor, they all serve as sustenance to you. You decide to give up on Frank. If you drink him dry, he won't come back again. Make it a pleasant death. You've grown to like Frank despite everything. You want to make his last moments pleasant. Close your eyes. It'll make you feel good. Frank doesn't have time to react before you take him into your arms and gently bite down on his neck. The bliss of your bite overwhelms him, and he moans in helpless desire. It's difficult to say whether Frank realizes you're killing him. He struggles weakly, but that could just be from the sensations your bite gives him. By the time life is really leaving his body, he can't do much more than lean on you. You've come to learn that all mortals taste a little different, the traces of their life showing in the blood in their veins, their emotions pushing through, making each feeding different. It's a question of taste whether you prefer your prey scared or aroused. You drink your fill as Frank goes weak in your arms, falling down, his body lifeless. There is a richness to his blood that you appreciate. You already learned that it's a mistake to judge the quality of blood based on the mortal's looks, and Frank certainly shows that to be true. There's a dumpster in the alley. Straining a little, you haul Frank's body into it. You tear at his clothes and take his wallet to make it look like a mugging gone wrong. Not long ago, doing something like this would have been inconceivable. Now, it's just feeding. Well, that was a whole thing, and we finally got to eat something. Alright. Enough of Adelaide Davis. It's time to head for Elysium and confront her with Sophie by your side. That sounds like a good plan. Maybe she'll leave us alone. Visiting Elysium with Sophie is always a humbling experience. She's connected, well-known, important. You're nobody. You've always known this, of course, but it's especially apparent when you arrive with her. Everyone notices her, and she drinks it in like it's her birthright. That's Adelaide Davis. Let's go say hello. You spot the woman Sophie is referring to. Adelaide, your stalker. Intense, disheveled, young-looking, a Malkavian if you've understood correctly. As you approach, Adelaide smiles at you with a darting look of distaste towards Sophie. Don't worry, I don't judge people by the company they keep. That's sweet of you, darling. Let me say this straight. You can't keep doing what you've been doing. You have to leave my poor ward alone. Adelaide looks from Sophie to you and giggles. The sound must be rare in Elysium because it makes people glance toward you. I know she's making you do this. Don't worry, we'll be together again later. Listen, Adelaide, I already have someone. I have a lover. Adelaide laughs delightedly. Don't worry, I'm not old-fashioned. I'll be happy to meet your lover. I'm sure they're as wonderful as you are. I'm too old-fashioned for a threesome. That's a shame. I can wait. We are immortals. The years pass, but the feelings we have for each other are precious. You should know that I'll always be there, somewhere, invisible in the night. Sophie chuckles as Adelaide walks away. I suppose that went as well as could be expected. It seems you have a guardian angel. Have fun. As Sophie steps away to chat with her friends, you feel lonely. Surrounded by kindred, you're not sure anyone can really help you navigate this bizarre social environment. Alright, end of another night. Let's rest. Sophie requests your presence tonight, and it seems urgent. You find her already waiting for you and clearly pondering something. It takes a few minutes of awkward silence before she speaks. I require your assistance, Lamar. There is a matter of great importance that I need to ask you to resolve for me. You will find what I'm about to say surprising, I'm sure, but I need you to hear me out. I need you to contact an important Anarch figure in NYC and arrange a meeting for us. Meetings with Anarchs forbidden. I'll be setting a trap, right? What business do you have meeting Anarchs? Wait, I'm pretty sure we're not supposed to meet with Anarchs. We're at war, right? The Prince does not look favorably at those who meet with the Anarchs, that much is true. You will find that with this, as with many other things, the Camarilla's policies have more than their share of hypocrisy inherent in them. It comes hand in hand with using medieval power structures. What we are forbidden to do, the Prince may do willingly. Some of these things can be done in the open, while others are kept secret, as to not invite discord and discontent. I need to contact a man named Torque. He is an influential member of the movement and, like most of them, very suspicious of the Camarilla. That's why I'm sending you to extend my invitation. How do I know he'll talk to me? Why me? Why not go yourself? How do I know he'll even talk to me? He won't. Not yet, anyway. You need to start further down the chain, and with the right story to spin. From my limited sources adjacent to the movement, I've gathered that your best chance to speak to Torque is to first meet with his right-hand woman, Mia. She's a regular at a club called the Leech Pit. I think it would be best if you presented yourself as an anarch hopeful, a fledgling looking for a place of belonging. Only after you talk to Torque directly should you mention my name at the meeting. Yeah, that makes sense. I don't know, it sounds risky. I don't think that's the right approach. Lying to them won't make them trust me. When they find out the truth, they won't be happy or eager to work with us. That might be true, but if you tell Mia outright that I sent you, she's likely to cut you off. She hates our sect, and it will be difficult to make her listen to reason. After tonight, I suggest that we do not speak of this again until you arrange the meeting. There are many who would jump at the chance to use this against us. With Kaiser, you have proven you can get the job done, even if it requires additional legwork. I trust you to deal with this task as quickly and covertly as possible. Forgive me, but that's all the time I can spare tonight. What I'm asking of you is just part of a bigger whole. Trust me, it will all be worth it. I'll do my best. It better be. I haven't agreed to this yet. We're trying to stay on Sophie's good side, so... Okay, I'll do my best. I know you will. Check with Gregory for the address of the Leech Pit. Have me introduce you to Torque. When she does, tell him I wish to meet. Let him pick the time and place, but let it be soon. If he proves too guarded, tell him I have something that will help him gather allies against Boss Callahan. That should pique his interest. Good luck, and obviously not a word about this to anyone else. Not even any new friends you might have made in recent nights. This stays between us. The way she says that final sentence suggests a not-so-veiled threat, but her warm smiles belies that impression. You want her to keep trusting you. You wouldn't want to disappoint her. Gregory gives you the address. The club is in Brooklyn. Apparently it's some kind of heavy metal bar with a dedicated concert space. Time to pay this Mia a visit. The place is teeming with people tonight. You arrive in the middle of a concert. The music is loud, almost deafening, and it takes you a while to get used to it. The noise hurts your ears. The venue isn't suitable for this kind of music, and none of the instruments sound the way they should. The cacophony sets you on edge. A group of a few dozen patrons are tightly packed together, and the smell of their sweat and youthful, excited blood overwhelms you momentarily. It's with some difficulty that you turn to the task at hand. You've heard your share about the Anarchs and how they fit into kindred politics, but you only had your short encounter in Corona Park on which to base your actual opinion of the faction. That might have been just a horrible first impression, but you're keeping your guard up just in case. Mingle with the crowd, ask for Mia. Well, let's try to locate her. Sharpening your senses in a place like this is a huge gamble. You try doing it slowly, bit by bit, so the loud sounds and lights don't dull your perception. A face flashes before your eyes in the mosh pit that just formed in front of the stage. Were those fangs? You're pretty sure you saw fangs on one of the girls. A short pause in the music lets you take a closer look. Yeah, she's different from the others. You notice small details. No perspiration. The paleness of her skin. Here goes nothing. Heard this is the spot to meet hot chicks who hate the patriarchy. Anarchs, you could say. Ugh, seriously? That's the best line you came up with? She doesn't smile, but she doesn't hit you either. Follow me behind the bar. She leads you through the bar back to a door that leads into a side room. Indie metal band posters are plastered on every wall, some of them 20 or more years old, judging from the tour dates. An old, sticky table and some rickety chairs are the only pieces of furniture here. Sit down. Sure, I think I'm comfortable. Sure. You take a seat as the woman leans against one of the walls. Name's Mia. I'm guessing your visit here isn't a happy coincidence. I don't know you, so you're either new in New York or kept an outstandingly low profile. Both sound suspect. So before we take these pleasantries further, answer me this. Who do you run with? I'm independent. I don't bow to anyone. Isn't that adorable? Listen, fledgling, you don't get to be this fresh in the game and not pick a side. Those Second Inquisition fucks are all too happy to pick on delusional kids like you. So are the cams. They offer you rewards aplenty for your servitude, but never actually deliver. Fortunately for you, there's another option. But before I get to that, let's get one thing out of the way. She leans in. If this is some clever ploy to oust me from my domain, or if you're just here to spy on me and the movement, I'll make sure that you don't enjoy undeath much longer. Got it? You can tell it's a purely rhetorical question. Right. Here's the pitch. The Camarilla likes to think they're the vanilla option, what with Prince Bitch Panhard pretending they were always in charge, but New York has never been a fully cammy city. They might have won the city in '99, but cams have had their asses handed to them many times over the years, and the movement has been here at least as long as they have. Hell, I moved in NYC before World War II, and that was a good while after I saw the Camarilla for what they are, a way to keep us all subservient and in line. The Ivory Tower will tell you they're the only safeguard for the traditions, and that's kind of the problem. Ivory Tower. I've actually been listening to just a little aside here, I've actually been listening to a super cool roleplay stream called LA by Night. They stream the tabletop RPG, and one of the characters is a part of the Ivory Tower, and I don't actually know what they are. So let's take a look at the definition. The Ivory Tower, another name for the Camarilla. Oh, okay, I thought it was some different thing, honestly. But I guess that's another name for it. There's only one tradition we in the movement feel should be respected. The Masquerade, obviously. Everything else, ask the prince and she'll tell you it's the logical continuation of the Masquerade. But really, it's just a way to keep the elders powerful and in control. She grimaces. But here's the thing. For all the talk of us bloodsuckers being solitary creatures, we need a community to keep up the Masquerade. Community, yes, but authority? Not so much. We need a council of peers to keep the assholes and power-drunk fledglings in check, but not a feudal prince to tell you where to feed or who to hunt down when they step on her toes. She takes a brief break from her indignant rant. So you anarchs don't have a ruler. Sounds too good to be true. So you anarchs don't have a ruler? A ruler? No, but leaders? Sure. Most follow old Boss Callahan's lead. You make it sound like it's most, but not you. Yeah, not me. If you're concerned about being well received in this city, you might need to go through Callahan. But if you're serious about the Anarch cause itself, he's not your guy. Callahan eats up fledglings like you and shits out self-preservation. His position as Baron is mighty shaky now, not least due to the fact that he's backstabbed more than his share of Callahan eats up fledglings like you and shits out self-preservation. His position as Baron is mighty shaky now, not least due to the fact he's backstabbed more than his share of allies. So he's doing what any other old fart in his position of power would do. He's doubling down. Negotiations are out. Intimidation is in. Tightening ranks as a precaution against the Second Inquisition. She surprises you by hacking and spitting on the ground in disgust. If you spend some time with the Cams, that should sound very familiar to you. He's no better than Panhard and her cronies are at this point. So, you need to contact Torque. And wouldn't you know it, it's your lucky night, because I'm the lick to do it through. Why Torque? How's Torque different? Why can't I just meet him? Torque, huh? Why him? Because he's one of the good guys, or at least as good as we leeches could be. Torque is a leader, a local baron who's overseeing a small domain, but he's doing a very good job of it. Callahan knows this, so he's giving him shit. Torque is taking it like a champ. He's smart like that. For one of us rebels, he's got the patience of a saint. Makes you think back to how things used to be way back when, if the stories are to be believed. Anyway, you want to meet him? I'm going to require a show of goodwill first. Do you have in mind? Or yeah, we may as well agree. It's fair. What do you have in mind? She flashes you a mischievous half-smile. I appreciate your readiness, but I don't have the details just now. Ask for me at the bar when you're able. I'll leave something for you and we'll take it from there. Now come on, I gotta go. She walks you out of the bar and you go your separate ways. Seems like there's nothing more to do than return here later and see if Mia really can help you contact Torque. Alright, looks like we've got time for one more task tonight. Alright, we can go help Agathon again. Talk to Benoit. Still don't trust Hope. Not even a little. Let's go talk to this guy. We haven't seen him in a minute. You've started to look at churches differently since your last encounter with Benoit. You're not sure what happened inside, but it was unavoidably real. You felt it. When Benoit mentions that being in the presence of Father Anthony's faith would eventually kill someone like you, an undead being, you believe him. It doesn't seem to be very common, though. In New York, you pass thousands of people every night, and none of them have made you feel so afraid and insignificant. If you were to encounter someone like Father Anthony in the subway or a nightclub, you would know. There are many churches in the 5 boroughs, and you're pretty sure most of them don't contain someone whose faith can touch you in this way. Yet you become wary. They just might. Still, tonight the cathedral looks as before, a striking landmark acting as a symbol of faith for people who have no idea that vampires exist in their midst. For them, questions of faith and myth are theoretical or philosophical. For you, those same questions suddenly define the meaning of your new existence. You sneak into the cathedral like an old hand, as if going to church had been a regular part of your life. Inside, the cathedral is almost deserted. You're not sure if you'll be meeting Benoit alone. The idea of feeling Father Anthony's faith on your undead flesh freezes you with terror. Benoit is waiting for you in the front pews of the cathedral, in the exact same spot where you saw Father Anthony. Worried, you approach, but you don't feel the touch of faith that shook you before. Benoit nods as you sit next to him in the pew. Aren't you worried? I have so many questions. Aren't you worried about meeting here? What if your friend the priest returns? Don't worry, he's not here tonight. You've had some time to think. I'm guessing you found the touch of Father Anthony's faith hard to ignore. For most people, God's presence is a question of faith. When I talk with Father Anthony, I feel proof. Benoit is fervent, intense as he speaks. It's clear these questions have consumed his existence. Perhaps they'll consume yours too. I can't stop thinking about divine purpose. This is kindred culture. What does the Camarilla believe? What do the kindred of the Camarilla believe? The old ones. It's true the elders are not always so good at teaching their childer. Maybe the Camarilla would function better if we all knew these stories. Benoit looks around reflexively to make sure no one is listening. There are only a few people in the enormous cathedral, and they don't seem to be interested in two loners murmuring to each other in the front pew. It might seem like ancient history, things that happened thousands of years ago, but time works differently for our kind. If the stories are true, the Methuselah is still in existence who walked the earth. Excuse me. If the stories are true, there are the Methuselahs still in existence who walked the earth when Jesus was alive. What's a Methuselah? Oh, whoops, wrong one. Methuselah, a vampire who has existed for a millennium or more, an elder who no longer participates in kindred society. Methuselahs are rumored to hail from the 4th and 5th generations. Interesting. If the stories are true, there are Methuselahs still in existence. Oh, I just read that. The only problem is that old vampires lie. They adjust history to suit their own egos. Talk to different elders. Surely something was written down before the Masquerade was established. Of course, the Tremere have many interesting manuscripts in their libraries. I've seen a few. If you have the chance, I'd recommend looking at them. This is how the story goes. God cursed Cain as punishment for the murder of Abel. Cain walked the night, shunned by humanity, and drank blood to sustain himself. Even from the point of our origin, we are damned. However, the story becomes really interesting when we move forward. Cain creates more of our kind, often referred to as the second generation. They lived in the first city, later called Enoch, ruling openly over the city's human inhabitants. I see the first city as Cain's redemption. Cursed by God to wander, he remade himself as a ruler and lawgiver, acting as an immortal shepherd to humanity. It only started to go wrong when the second generation began the third, and vampires started to run amok. So the third generation, what happened to the first city? All of these sound like great things. What happened to the first city? What happened to the first city? It was lost in the deluge. Noah had his ark to save him, but our kind had to rely on our gifts of blood. If you're skeptical about this piece of history, remember that even a local flood can bring massive destruction. After the first city, Cain largely departs the story. Perhaps he was disheartened by the depredations of his descendants. The antediluvians went on to build a second city in imitation of the first, but it's doubtful their rule was just. There are people moving in the cathedral, and both you and Benoit have made sure none get close enough to hear you talk. As Benoit goes on, your undead senses detect something that deviates from the normal hubbub of devout mortals, cathedral workers, and tourists. You hear the squeaking wheels of an old wheelchair that hasn't been taken out too often. We've been doing this for 20 years and still you pull stuff like this, Michael. Why did you bring your sister? We're on the field. This is no place for the disabled. The voice is that of an older man. Midwestern. He sounds exasperated, as if he was rehearsing an argument for the 100th time. She wanted to come. She doesn't get out of the house very often. Besides, you should be grateful, Bobby. We would have never found our new partners without her. The second voice belongs to an old man, too. It's more intense and still holds echoes of a Russian accent. Oh, he has a Russian accent. I do not think that is an accent I can pull off. I can try. Yes, because she talked about vampires online. You got your door busted in by the FBI, as I remember. We did, sure, but we cleared the misunderstanding, and now we're consultants. So quit your griping. Bobby, Michael, play nice. You sound like an old couple. The third voice has a heavier Russian accent and belongs to an older woman. All three have clearly known each other for a long time. Let's find Father Anthony and see if he can help us. From what I've heard, he's an exceptional man. Yeah, exceptional, but he doesn't like moles. You nudge Benoit and discreetly point out the three people approaching you along the cathedral's central aisle. He nods in understanding. This is bad news, whoever these three are. We need to get out. Let's meet outside. I can't remember. I'm assuming celerity is quickness or whatever. The blood grants you inhuman speed. You decide to run out before they have a chance to notice you. You keep low and run your way to the side, stopping to take in your surroundings once you're in the shadow of the mighty pillars holding up the roof. Benoit had this exact same escape plan as you did, and you share a look before you continue running. Speed doesn't equal invisibility, not exactly. Still, none of the mortals inside the cathedral focus their attention on you. If they blink, you're already elsewhere. Another moment and you're outside, slowing down just in time to avoid looking suspicious as you emerge on the street. That was a close call. Who were those three? Fuck you. Who were those three? Did you recognize them? I might have. I'm not sure. There's talk of a few tenacious vampire hunters living in the city. One of them is supposed to be a woman in a wheelchair. Uh-oh. For a second, Benoit looks at you as if he was wondering whether he should say something. There's one thing I've always wondered about the story of Cain. The traditions of the Camarilla put a lot of faith in the relationship between sire and chielde. You're supposed to follow the example of your maker, yet Cain didn't really seem to care for the vampires he embraced. Did he think it was a mistake to create our kind? My sire left me. We should make our own way in this world. Do kindred care what Cain thinks? You may as well mention that. My sire left me. Is that common among the kindred? Yes, unfortunately. The kindred are selfish and cruel. You know, I'm Sophie's chielde, and you're her protege. It's amazing that we share an appreciation for the mythology of our kind, considering Sophie has little interest in questions of the spirit. You stare at Benoit. You knew there was something he wasn't telling you, but in all talk about Cain in the first city, you forgot about it. Now the only question is, what does this mean? Does Sophie know her chielde is talking to you? Oh, wow. Probably not. Don't hold it against me, but I admit finding some pleasure in seeing you suffer the effects of Father Anthony's faith. I suppose that's the demon in me. Fuck you. That was not okay. Do that again and I'll make sure you regret it. You'll get over it. You know, we should meet again. We've talked so much about myth, but maybe that's cowardly when the reality of faith is right in front of us. I'll introduce you to Father Anthony. You nod, unsure whether that's a good idea. Benoit walks away and you follow his example, not wanting to hang around the cathedral any longer. Alright, looks like it's time for another rest, and that is going to be not only the end of this night, but also the end of our stream this evening. As always, I thank you guys very much for watching. And if you check in the description, you'll find a link to my Ko-Fi account so that you can make a little donation to support these streams so that I can keep doing them for you. As always, I hope you guys have a great night, and we will see you next time.